This is the Leo Climaco podcast.
When they came from India, they got to choose a new life. They didn't necessarily have to maintain who we were in India.
Right.
And seeing as my family was coming from much lower castes, that's why you would have seen that, people selected names that were like Maharaja, like that would have been the king caste back in India. So
Got
you'll
it.
see that in Trinidad. It's not really that, if you follow their lineage, it's not that. But
I love that. It's so interesting.
yeah, they just chose.
I actually wasn't aware that there was a lineage to India into Trinidad.
Yeah, we came as indentured laborers. So
Really?
when the slave trade ended out of Africa, or at least was being phased out,
Right.
they started taking indentured laborers out of India, and they sent them all over the world. That's why some of them ended up, for example, in
Wow.
Kenya, all over the Caribbean,
Right.
specifically all over the Caribbean, because they started working in the sugarcane fields to start the sugar trade.
Makes sense.
And so they came on the trade that we'll come work for this amount of time, then we're going to get land there and we'll settle there and
Got
build
it.
from there.
That was their payment.
Exactly. That was going to be their
Yeah.
payment. Now, the conditions obviously were not great, but they saw an opportunity, and a lot of them left. They came on ships all over the islands,
Incredible.
and we stayed. And so much so that actually I have no ties back to India. I cannot trace my family roots. I've tried
Really?
for a very long time. And I think now that, as
It
technology
goes that
advances,
far back for you.
it goes that. So my great grandparents are the ones that come from India. And even though that does not sound that far back,
It's pretty
it's
far
hard
back.
yeah, and it's hard to
Yeah.
trace them because, again, with the name changing, or for example, on my mother's side, her father's last name was Joseph. Joseph was just them taking,
Right.
the
For
colonizer's
sure.
name. Let's say.
Exactly.
So it's very hard to trace. And when they came, there were improper records. For example, they came in. My great grandfather came as a stowaway in a ship, so he's
Wow.
even undocumented coming into the islands. So there's a lot of that. So tracing becomes very difficult. So it's kind of like a new family, new generation. We're just starting from that time period forward.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing, and I love when people have their family history of, in the 16th century, my family this, and they came as this, and unfortunately, I don't have that in my family, and I think that's why legacy is so important in my family. Like to my dad,
Yes.
to me, to my brother, I think legacy is
Because you want to
important
build that.
because we want to build that. We don't have that to look back at, so we hope generations coming after us will have that.
It's amazing.
So yeah,
We got the ball rolling.
okay.
So, guys, welcome to another episode of the Leo Climaco podcast. I'm your host, Leo. Today, we have a wonderful guest. She's a mother, an entrepreneur. She is the queen of events, Kristi Mooti Persad. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did say that right, Leo. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and I look forward to being on the show with you.
I am just as excited for you to be here.
Thank you.
So, as you were saying, as we were talking about your background, about Trinidad, about India, please continue.
Sure. Growing up in Trinidad, small island, I think
You were born there?
I was born there. Was raised there, and I decided to leave for college when I was 18, which was a big step. No one in my family had gone to college, far more
Really?
for leaving the island to go somewhere else.
Wow.
So like we talked about, once my
Trailblazer.
family... I wanted something different. I think it's easy to be a small fish or a big fish rather in a small pond, but to be a big fish in a big pond is much different. My dad is a real rags to riches story, and I think he achieved that in his lifetime. He came into Trinidad as not having much, coming from poverty, and built this multi-million-dollar company.
Wow.
And I, from the time I was born to by the time I got to 18, I'd seen my dad become this amazing, brilliant businessman. And I said, wow, I want to do something like that.
That's awesome.
I want to, in my own right, earn that respect. And I want to be as great as my dad is. My dad has created something that will outlive him.
What kind of business?
So my dad's in meat. He's in frozen meat,
Okay.
distribution, wholesale, retail. He started in retail, very small. He started just with a little van that he
Right.
would go around to sell meat to people. Now he have contracts all over the world, Australia, New Zealand, all over, the United States, Europe.
It's amazing.
So-
Did he go out to different butchers or to different farms and collect the meat and sell it? Is that what
Yes,
it was?
exactly. So
Very
he was kind of
smart.
like in that third person. So he
He's a
went
middleman,
a
yes.
middleman. Yeah, he started as a middleman.
He's a
went out there,
wholesaler.
found the farms or found different people to buy the
Yes.
products from, to get the products from. And his
Smart.
father was a fisherman, funny enough, who would later work in the sugar industry, like I told you. But that's how he started, very small. And he built that up. He just started
It's
thinking forward
incredible.
about what could he do
Yes.
next? Where do I go next? How do I eat up the supply chain? How do I become bigger and better, faster, more efficient?
Wow.
How do I spread myself across different categories,
Right.
portfolios? And he is constantly innovating to this day. I mean, he
That's
has
amazing. He still owns
achieved.
and runs the company?
Yes, he
Wow,
still
good for
owns and
him.
operates. He's one of the biggest on the island. He actually expanded into the United States a few years ago. So
Wow.
just opened the first US location in Miramar.
That's
And
amazing. Good for
he
him.
continues to, he's a visionary. I think my dad really embodies what it means to be a
Yes.
visionary.
And when you have that eye, you see opportunities everywhere.
Exactly. In your mind's eye, you do fantastic
Yes.
things. And my dad would tell me about a practice that he had that it has been a core part of how I build myself. My dad says, imagine things and see it for what it is in your mind. Don't just operate on what you see in reality.
Mm,
I want you to really envision that and picture yourself there already. So, for example, my dad's starting out with that small business, driving around this little van.
right.
He would sit in his office and write checks for $100,000,
Really?
$200,000. So he would just sit there as a practice, and he would tell himself, I'm going to write checks like this one day. I'm going to write these big checks. And this is going to be a regular part of my routine.
Good
And at
for
that time, he's doing
him.
a few $100s maybe. And so my dad has always thought like that, and has always thought ahead. He said, I'm going to be in the US one day. I'm going to do it. I'm going to find a way to get there. And I think I picked up on that. And I said, hey, you know what? Maybe I
For sure.
can be the
100% picked
bridge.
up on that. For
Maybe I'll
sure.
go. I'm going to leave the island and I'm
Yeah.
going to create that first point, that point of entry into the US. No one in my family has, dared to go abroad to
Right.
start a new life. We were very comfortable in Trinidad. And I said, hey, let's go. Let's go for adventure. Let's go because I want to do something more. I want to make my dad proud. I want to create a legacy for myself, much
Right.
like he's created for my brother and I.
Carry that name on.
I think that's the biggest service that I can do to my father is to continue his legacy by continuing to build. He's a builder.
Yes.
He's an innovator. And I want to be able to do that. I want to pass this on to my kid and to my brother's kids. And I hope that we continue that legacy of building and not contain or
beautiful.
constrain yourself to just
Right. Don't
what you
limit
think
yourself.
what you think has to be
Yes.
your reality. Sometimes you are born with such small and humble beginnings
Mm-hmm.
into a very menial state. And sometimes people get trapped there.
Yes.
And I hate to say it this way, but a lot of times on a small island, having a small island mentality means that you think, okay, I'm going to go get a job, get married, have kids, and
Right.
then
That's it.
that's it. And nothing's wrong with that life. If that's
No,
truly
I
what you
agree.
want, if that brings you joy and true fulfillment, we're all here for a purpose.
For
I
sure.
believe that God sent us to do something here. And the best thing that you can do for yourself is to figure out that purpose in life and go after that wholeheartedly. And I feel like for me, I realized at a young age, I had to do something more. I was not meant to just stay here, stay in my dad's shadow
Yeah.
and follow along. I was meant to trailblaze. Like you said, I've always felt settled in my mind and my heart that
Are you the oldest?
I'm the oldest. My brother's younger.
That definitely has something to do with it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think growing up, my dad would say that to me. Don't forget, you're a leader. You're not a follower. You're a leader. You go and others will follow. So, and that was a big
I
part
love
of that
that he
practice.
instilled that in you. I love that.
He did. And it's actually very, I would say, ahead of its time in a sense that he would do that to,
Visionary.
yeah, and to me in that
Yeah.
at the time that I'm growing up, the son is the one that's going to inherit your business, at least in the culture that I'm coming
For
from.
sure.
You're thinking that your son's going to be the one that's going to carry on your family name, that's going to carry on the family business.
Right.
And my dad didn't see that difference. My dad looked at us as, these are my kids, both. And I'm going to instill in them the very best that I have.
Right.
And whatever they're meant to be, I will support. And my dad has stood by our sides no matter what we chose to be in life and what we chose to explore. My dad has always had our
That's
back. So has
amazing.
my mom, right? Not
He
to
didn't
leave her
cap
out.
you off at just being a woman.
No, he
Right.
didn't.
That's amazing.
My dad has never limited me by saying, these are the roles you're relegated to
Right.
because you're a woman. At the same
Right.
time, my dad has taught me there is power in being a woman. There's
Mm.
something about your
What
feminine
a
side,
great man.
right? That balance of you should be taken care of. You should be protected. You should be
For
provided for.
sure.
My dad did that for me. And he said, I want you to understand that there's a balance. As a leader, it does not mean that you have to be like a man. You don't have
Right.
to be aggressive. There's a certain way you can harness that empathy and nurturing side of you that comes naturally to
Yes,
you
that
as a woman.
feminine.
Exactly. And I think that's what I do in business currently. I don't go out there and say, I need you guys to do this and I want you. And I don't do that. I said, hey, let's work together. I
Right.
need your help to get this done. How can we work together to build this together? This is my vision. How do you feel about that? I lead with feelings a lot because that's what comes naturally to me.
Right.
And I don't think that there's not a place for that in business. I think that there is a place for that in business, and women learn to navigate not just from a man's lens. We
Mm.
have to learn to navigate from what feels natural and intuitive to us. A woman's intuition, I think, is
For
a brilliant
sure.
thing. And we should lean into that. You shouldn't suppress that to say, I'm going to do all these logical calculations and I'm just going to go on what's the line of best fit? What's the most rational thing to do?
Right.
Sometimes the most rational thing to do limits the risk that you take. I'm not going to take that risky path. If I thought about it, my life was very cushy in Trinidad. It was
Could
very
imagine.
comfortable.
Yeah.
I didn't need to leave. And I thought, all right, I don't really know how to do my own laundry. I don't really know how to cook well. I
You were
can.
probably a princess,
Yeah, I did get pampered quite a bit growing up.
which is wonderful. Power to your parents for being able to provide you that life.
They did, and I'm very grateful for that. So it was scary to move abroad and have to figure that out on
Yeah.
my own, and there's no one that's there to say, if I can't figure this out. I remember one time I had to call my dad. I'm like, Dad, how do you open a can of tuna without a can opener? Because I don't have a can opener at home. He's like, okay, I want you to go grab a rolling pin, go get a knife. You're going to put this in here. And he's like walking me through the
That's
process
hysterical.
of how you do that. And, there were so many moments like that. It's just life, living life. But they were, both my parents have always been there to help guide that. And I kind of grew up with that support system. And I think that gave me a platform to be very confident in
That's
everything that I do, because I knew that support system would always be there. And
for
I
sure.
never had to doubt myself. I never had to think too hard about what I was going to do, because I knew I could count on my parents at the very least.
If you could put a value on that, what would it be?
A value.
A value on having that support system, on having parents that are so supportive, having an entrepreneur dad that was able to show you and help you become the leader that you are today. If you could put a value in that, because to me, there's no value in that.
It's priceless.
It's
I
completely
agree.
priceless.
I agree. And complete blessing.
Complete.
Nothing I could have controlled.
Right.
And nothing at all that I could have
Yes
planned.
and no. Yes and no, because
tell
you
me.
could have chosen to stay in Trinidad,
Yes. Okay, true.
right? So you did have your hand in it somewhat, because you chose to, yes, this is great. I love this, but I want to build my own. I want to go out and see the world and see what I can do.
Right. I think that thirst for life and wanting to see more happened at a very young age, especially through reading. I mean, growing up with humble beginnings meant we didn't have, a TV in every room. We had one TV in the living room,
Right.
and that had to be shared with everyone that was in the house at the time, which included my grandparents. And so I would escape to my books. I would read these tales of faraway lands and all these great fiction. Enid Blyton was my favorite author growing up. And I saw those things in my mind's eye, like we spoke about. And I said, there has to be a different world from just this. And I'm sure
Yes.
that there are many different things, many different people. And I'm so interested to see what's out there. And that sparked that love for travel. I still have that love for travel.
Yeah.
My parents also gave me that platform to do that, to say at a very young age, hey, let's go out there. Let's visit new places. Let's see new things. So I think that that's priceless to say
So you
that.
had been to America previously.
I had been. I
Okay.
had been several times. I had family in New York. I'd been to Florida a few times. I'd been
Got
to
it.
Canada. And I really liked it, of course.
Of course.
Coming from an island, all these brand new, sparkly, shiny things. I'm
Oh,
like, this is
yes.
really amazing. I want to live here. And I was like, I don't know how that's going to be possible, but I'm going to figure out a way. I'm going to study really hard. I'm going to do the best that I can in everything that I can.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the captain of my house because in Trinidad, in my high school, we have that house system, kind of like Harry Potter.
Okay.
How you have Gryffindor and all these other
Really?
houses. We had these houses that were named after these famous women. I went to an all-girls high school.
Wow.
And I was house captain. And
Good for
that
you.
was an amazing experience. I think that's where I got my start in leadership. So we would compete in different things, whether you're competing in academics, you're competing in sports, drama, we'd have theater performances, or we'd have
Wow.
a bunch of different things. And the school was all about discipline. I mean, the uniform, how you presented yourself, how you spoke. I would get stopped in the corridor by the school's principal, and she would
Really?
say, I don't want you walking and eating. Fine young women should not walk and eat. You should sit down at the table and have your lunch. And so I grew
Wow.
up with that very strict environment,
Yeah.
both at home and in school.
Was it also a religious school or just
Yes.
private? Yes.
It was a Presbyterian school.
Wow. Okay.
So, we'd have worship every morning. You'd go up and you'd have your prayer time, your gathering
Yeah.
time. And so I think that instilled a lot of discipline that was necessary to make me successful today. I think without that, you can have a lot of passion in life,
For
a
sure.
lot of innovation. And if there's no discipline
Mm.
that's creating those guidelines and driving you to
Yeah.
that endpoint, to that goal, you're not going to get very far on just pure passion
I agree. Or talent.
or just talent.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to you have to see exactly where you're going. You have to be able to see that big picture.
Oh, yeah.
You have to know why you're going there, and then you figure out how you're going to get there.
Correct.
But if you can't see it and you have no motivation, no why, what's my purpose? Why do I want to go there?
Right.
Without those two fundamental things, how you're going to get there is inconsequential. I can have the best plan laid out with the clearest steps, the easiest to execute plan. If I don't know exactly where I'm going or I don't know why I'm going, I can't see how I'm going to get there. I think
I agree.
you have to see it. You have to see it in your mind's eye.
100%.
It's like building a puzzle. If I don't see the picture ahead of time and I just have
Right.
all the pieces
Right.
and I'm just trying to put pieces together and I have no idea what the big picture is supposed to look like, that's going to take me so long to, sure, I might figure it out.
For sure.
No, I'm not going to do it effectively or efficiently if I have no idea what the big picture
Yeah.
is supposed to look like. And I think that's where you have to start. You have to start with that vision. You have to see it in your mind's eye. You have to think to yourself very clearly, where do I want to go? What do I see for myself in this life? What do I want to achieve? What does that look like? What does it look like in every aspect of
Right.
my life?
And to add to that, if you don't have that vision and that discipline, the first barrier that you hit, you're probably going to quit.
Exactly.
If you're not ready to jump over all these hurdles that are going to be put in front of you, you're not going to make it, which is why so many people quit and fail and then badmouth being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I agree with you. They get lost along the way because they haven't finished the steps. They
Mhm.
don't know exactly where they're going. And I think that's the hard part about being an entrepreneur. You have to know that it cycles.
Yes.
It's not a straight line.
No, it's
You're
a
not
roller
just going to
coaster
hit
ride.
yes, you're
Up
not
and
going to
down.
hit an upward trajectory and then that's it for you.
Correct.
You have to be able to flow with the highs and lows that come in your business. You have to
Yes.
adapt to the seasons, to the changes. I mean, the pandemic was a big lesson.
Oh, that was huge.
Imagine for my industry, I'm in events. We're ordered shut. That's it. They say there's no gatherings. You cannot have, and even when we do open, there are restrictions. 6 feet apart on the dance floor.
Wow.
The bar lines have to be, 6 feet apart. You can't do X, Y, Z. Everyone who has to wear masks. How are you going to wear a mask for your wedding?
How did you
pictures?
survive?
I had to think of new ways to stay in the business. So, for example, if people weren't going to come to my venue, how can we take events to the safety of their home? Can we do a dinner in a box concept where we deliver everything to you and then you put that together? Can we do a parade where people can drive past in their cars? We set up the front lawn. We'll
Wow.
do the cake. We'll do cupcakes to go. We'll do, nice banner
Completely
backdrops.
breaking the mold of the frame of what an event is, right? Completely
Exactly.
going out of the box.
How can we gather and not gather simultaneously? How can we, because especially
What a
at
way
a
to
time
put it.
during the pandemic, we needed that social interaction.
Oh, yes.
We needed to be around each other in a time where we felt most isolated.
Where everyone's masked up and you can't even see their faces and you can't even touch them.
Exactly. And then your face is just such a big part. You emote from your face, your
For
eyes, your mouth. I
sure.
feel like all of that it's so important how we connect with one another.
Yes.
Removing that and I remember people doing weddings on Zoom.
Mm.
It's not the same.
How do you do
So,
a wedding on Zoom?
I
How
mean,
does that even work?
they set up the cameras, they had friends and family call in, and then, for example, they'd say to everyone, okay, everyone's getting pizza, to create some sense
Wow.
of togetherness
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
some sense of we're all in this together. We can't physically be together, but how can we recreate that? And that's what we had to do. You had to pivot in events to think, how can we get everyone together, but still do this safely?
Right.
How can we transform our industry to abide by these new guidelines?
Mm.
And also, there are two other things that are happening simultaneously. Now, people are running into using their savings. The discretionary income is a lot
Because a
less
lot
now.
aren't working, correct?
A lot of people have lost their jobs.
Wow.
So now the industry has to transform. We can't just do $20,000, $30,000 weddings anymore. It's not, people now
It's
have
not
limited
feasible.
income. It's
Right.
not feasible. So to survive now, what do we create that, given the demographics, given what people are at in terms of their comfort level for
Yeah.
spending, what can we do? That's one. Number two, there's now the fear in brides. Okay, if I plan this, because most brides are planning a year, 2 years
For
out.
sure.
I plan this. What if another pandemic happens? What if you're ordered shut again? And I put all this time, the disappointment,
Mm.
handling the disappointment of
The
brides.
unknowns, right? Of how
The
long the pandemic is
unknowns.
going to last.
Exactly. So what ended up happening in the industry is a lot of people started doing weddings very last minute. We'd get 3 months notice, a month notice. I've had a bride with
Wow.
2 weeks notice. And it's because people were too scared to put money into something that's 2 years out,
Makes
1 year
sense.
out.
Yeah.
What if another pandemic happens? What am I going to do? I've spent all this money. I've put deposits everywhere. What's going to happen? And so there was a general discomfort. There was a general fear amongst everyone in the event industry as to where we go.
What was the rate of cancellation or rescheduling versus someone that wanted to go outside the box and recreate the experience?
Everyone wanted to cancel.
I bet.
No one wanted to reschedule. Why? Because we didn't have answers. I couldn't tell you when you could reschedule to.
Right.
I would have had no idea. We're in lockdown.
Yeah.
I have no guidelines to say we can do the event in 1 year. I could not say that with certainty. My
Right.
business was built on me being honest and creating a transparent and comfortable space. I treat my
Right.
clients like family. That's why they come back. I
For
do
sure.
the wedding, the baby shower, the, keen say, I do all of it because I have that trust with them. I would not have told a client, we can do your wedding in 3 months. I would have said, I don't know. I don't know where we're going from here. I'm working on it. I'm
Mm.
working to figure it out. But I want to be fair to you and be fair to me. And we'll figure this out together. We are going to be in this together. I'm going to keep you, step by step in the loop.
Yeah.
As soon as the city gives me any guidelines, okay, you can open, but here are the restrictions. I'd then call and say, if we open, the wedding has to look like this. And I'd paint you that picture of what that
Right.
would look like. Some brides would have said, I don't want to wear a mask. Okay, well, if the guidelines are, you must wear a mask, we're going to have to wait until that mask restriction goes away.
Lifted. Right.
So at that time, everyone wanted to cancel. No one wanted to wait to see how it would go. Everyone wanted that money back, of course, even though we
Of
had a
course.
policy in place saying, hey, it's non-refundable. I did not feel like ethically, morally, that was the right thing to do.
Good for you.
If a client really felt like I had, for example, certain nonprofits. I had one nonprofit that works with women that are domestic abuse survivors.
Mm.
And I knew that that money could go to a better cause, to a better spend, instead of just holding that deposit for a future date that they had no idea. So I made that decision across the board for if a bride really felt, or a client, not just a bride,
Right.
felt really uncomfortable, no matter the cost to the company, I would take it. Because if I tell people I care about you and I have built a business on
Right.
wanting to serve the people, I can't say that and simultaneously be
Put your
just
money
about
where
the
your mouth
contract.
is.
Exactly. And so I took that risk. And I think that's why a lot of my clients came back. They came back because at a time where they needed me to trust them, I did. And now
They
I
knew they could
regained that
trust you.
trust.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's the way it works. You take a chance on people, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
Your dad did a good job.
Thank you. Thank you. I think he's always taught me to see the best in
Yeah.
everyone, to believe in people. No matter what you see, that's surface level. People are complex. People are highly complex. They're not as simple as you would write them off to
No,
be.
they're not.
And you have to believe in people. You have to pour into people. And I believe that at a very basic level, I think all of us are meant to push each other and help
For
each
sure.
other and climb together.
For sure.
If I'm 2 levels up and I see someone struggling, I think it's a disservice to humanity that I continue to climb and leave someone behind that I know it would cost me nothing to help. I
Turn
think that's what
around
makes us
and
human.
extend a hand and pull them up.
Exactly. That's why I think it's great when you do things like this. There are wonderful people like you that use a platform to build and motivate and to help, to unleash and align and help people to really realize their full potential.
Thank
It's
you.
part of that human experience. And I think
I
it's
agree.
wonderful that you do that.
I appreciate that. I agree with you 100%. I feel like we're all here in this journey together.
Yes.
We're all in this rock floating in space together,
Yes.
And I think that the more we can help each other, the more we can learn from each other, the more we can evolve and grow together.
Absolutely.
I'm someone that I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful. And whatever I can do to help anybody else feel just as blessed, I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
You know?
I think that's a great way to look at life. I think, and a lot of times, especially in today's culture, it's me, me, me.
Mm,
And help yourself first. And I don't disagree with you have to build yourself
for
and you have to
sure.
help yourself.
For sure.
But we have to help each other. My high school that I was telling you about, I will never forget that our motto was non nobis solum sed omnibus, which means not for ourselves only, but for others.
Mm,
And that coupled with, what I've learned from my parents, it's about building community. It's about
yes.
helping people. I feel like we feel our most fulfilled, our most joyful, and the most in tune with our humanity when we help each other. And I think that all of us have that basic purpose in common to help one
I
another.
agree 100%. And I feel like our society in America is built a certain way where, like you said, it's all about me, 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 me. I think we've lost that sense of community,
Yes.
that sense of togetherness, that sense of family.
Yes.
I think it's so important to rebuild and regain that. I think families are the foundation of America and the world.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
think if we try to break up the structural family and act as if it can be replaced by whatever other pieces and it's the same thing, I don't agree with that. I don't think it's something that we should be pushing or even embracing.
Absolutely.
I think we need to have morals, standards, values, and evolve off of that platform, off of that foundation, and not go beneath it.
Right. Absolutely. I think people get caught up in too much of the putting people in categories and
Oh, yes.
boxes and defining this and defining that. And
Yes.
it's become so much more about that than just seeing people for who they are.
And they become attached to all those labels.
Attached to the
X,
labels,
Y,
yes.
Z, whatever you are. You're a human being.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to that.
Let's just go back to that. And I think it becomes much easier to practice acceptance and love and respect for one another when we just see each other without those labels.
I agree.
don't need to define you by terms that is palatable for me. Well, you're an
Correct.
XYZ. And so that has these implications.
Right.
Boil it down to the most basic, you're human, just
Mhm.
like me. We're here for a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
Something we have in common. Neither of us want to live with regrets,
Mm,
right? We want to live a life that's truly fulfilled.
for sure.
We want to feel that joy. We want to feel that peace. We can connect on that. I don't need to know
Yes.
much more about you.
We both want to
other
feel
than that.
safe and be loved and be happy
Exactly.
and experience joy.
Exactly. And I think that God has gifted us each with something that we're meant to do. And He's put special talents in us. And I have something that's different from what you have than every other person has.
For sure.
We can help each other to unlock that. We see each other just for who we are at our core level, that person that wants love, that wants respect, also as a person that can give love and give
Right.
respect. And then I think that creates such a more peaceful environment for us to really unlock our potential and achieve what we're meant
100%.
to do. Instead of me wasting my time, how am I going to be perceived? If I do this way, what will people think about me?
Right.
I'm not going to make XYZ happy if I don't do it this way. And you get so much pressure from having to perform in whatever is societal or cultural and what's acceptable in this
Yes.
realm and what's acceptable. Because why? We want people to like us so badly sometimes that we're willing to sacrifice things that we were always meant
soul.
to do. Exactly. We're sacrificing our soul.
Yes.
You know, sometimes in your heart that something's wrong, something feels off, that doesn't sit well with my spirit.
Right.
And that I feel compelled to not do that thing or to do a thing. And sometimes that fear of what other people will think stops us from doing what in our spirit we really feel driven to do.
Isn't that such bullshit?
It is.
It really
Absolutely.
is. How we prevent. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, of course. We have to be able to let that go.
Yes.
But we also have a responsibility to one another to create an environment where it's safe to let that go. And if each person does that, then we can really go after what we were meant to do. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all. Please. On that, what do you think you're meant to do?
That's a great question. I think I'm still figuring that out every day. But I think that I'm meant to help build people, help people to feel, loved, safe, that they are worthy of something, that they have something in them that's special. I think that was the point of having the parents that I have. I think that they built that and gave that to me. You talked about what's the value I would place on that. And I told you that that's priceless. We agreed that that's a priceless 100%. Experience. And I wish I could give that to people that may not get that from parents, that may not get that from a mentor, that may not get that from a family structure. I think I have to figure out a way that I transform next in my business that I can reach out to people. I was able to do it in my business because doing events, we're going to get close. You're getting married. You're excited. This is a big change for you, or it's your birthday. It's whatever it is. I'm with you. You
have to learn that person.
Yeah, I have to learn that person. It's a very personalized, customized experience to that person. I have to know what makes them tick. I have to know the incoming mother-in-law, the sister-in-law. I have to know all of it. All the family politics, the drama. I get, my couch has been like a therapy couch so many times that people come in to talk about it.
I can imagine.
Then the stories, which is, we'll save that for another podcast. But I think in those moments, that's what I enjoyed the most. Reminding people that we're here for a purpose, that we can help one another, that, this wedding is putting a lot of pressure on my bride, for example. And this happens a lot. She thinks she has to perform in a certain way. She has to be perfect. The dress has to be perfect. The hair has to be perfect. I have to walk down the aisle perfectly. I can't slip. I can't do this. I have to eat right. I'm used to eating with my hands. How am I I'm not used to all the, the formality of events. And I have to remind my clients so often, this is about you. This is a big part of your life, not because of the show, not because of the theatrics. Don't get caught up. If you slip and you fall, so what? I'm going to be right there. I'm going to pick you up. We're going to dust off that dress.
We're going to laugh about it.
We'll laugh about it in years to come.
We'll keep going.
We're just going to keep going. What's most important is that you're walking down that aisle to that man that you love, and you're going to make that commitment, and you have fun adventures ahead of you with that person. And that's exciting. So what if you fell? It's not that big of a deal. So what if the dress, one button popped off before we walked down the aisle? So what if, your fork went spiraling into the air during dinner? Whatever it is. So what? It's, in the grand scheme of things, it's a very small detail. A detail we may laugh about, a detail that may bond us later on.
Right. But and everyone there is there for you. They love you. They're not going to care or be bothered by it. We're going to laugh and move on.
Exactly. And anyone that is not there for that purpose, they'll find their way out of your life at the right time. I think that some people are there for reasons, for seasons, and all of these things. And I think God moves people to be in and out of your life for a purpose, and you have to know and identify that too.
For sure.
So I think that that's such an important thing for me moving forward, to continue building a legacy for myself and for my family in the future, of one where I create an environment of demonstrating God's love through how I support and love other people and how I help build other people. I want to be able to pour into people. I want to be able to help people really achieve what they're meant to do. I feel like we struggle with that as humans. We go back and forth. What's my purpose? What am I meant to do? How do I know if I'm good at this? Even if I can just be a sounding board, I think it's already inside you. I think you already know.
I agree.
I think that you just sometimes need help to map that, to get
Mhm.
there. Maybe someone that just listens. Maybe I say nothing. Maybe I just sit there and I look at you, I sit with you for a couple hours and you arrive there all on your own. I really didn't do anything aside from provide maybe the companionship. And I
It's
think
so
it's going to
funny
come
that you
in.
say that because I heard today someone say that when you're helping someone or when you're coaching someone, you're not really changing them. What you're doing is you're standing your ground, you're at a certain frequency, and you're helping just by you being that frequency and hearing them, you are helping them evolve to that frequency.
Right.
You are helping them realize what they have to on their own just by you exuding that energy around you.
That's
So exactly what you're
fantastic.
saying.
Absolutely. And I think you're talking about frequencies and I've been hearing a lot more about the strongest frequency being authenticity. When you're your
Mm,
most authentic self, that's when that's what I think attracts people to you.
100%.
You have to be you. I can't be anyone else but me. And
Right.
if I'm really in tune with who I am and I know who I am, what I want from my life, where I'm going, again, where am I going? Why am I going? How am I going? If I can answer
Right.
that for myself, you're right. I provide that and I'm on that frequency already. I'm sitting with you and you're able to get up to that frequency too.
Yes, because you radiate and you shine, right? When you're aligned and you know exactly what you want and where you're going, you literally shine and your aura expands. So you're able to touch more people.
Absolutely. I think that too often in life, we just get caught up with life's logistics
Mm,
or just the
overthinking.
overthinking, being too much in our head.
Yes.
And
What
we
others
don't,
think about us, what
that's a
he
hard one.
has, what she has, what I don't have, what
Another
I
important one.
want.
Exactly. It's and a lot of it is focused on the material world, right?
Yes,
The things. And a lot of times I think people do that to avoid really facing themselves
for
and
sure.
sitting with the hard
Mm-hmm.
questions. Who am I?
Right.
What makes me me? And asking yourself, though, can you answer those things about yourself? What are the things that make you you? What would you
Right.
say are your strengths? What would you say are your weaknesses? What do you think is your favorite thing about yourself? What's the thing you wish you could improve?
What makes you get out of bed every day?
Exactly. What motivates you? What
Yeah.
drives you? Why are you doing what you're doing? If you would just sit with yourself.
Or not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly. How did I get off course and
Right.
why? I think you have to sit, take those moments of solitude to figure that out in life and not let yourself get distracted by the noise. It's even easier these days with everyone walking around with your phone and social media,
Yes.
and you feel that push to have to impress others, to live that life that
Mm-hmm.
everyone sees that I'm successful. Maybe you're not. Maybe you are successful, but you're not happy doing what
Right.
you're doing. Maybe you don't feel fulfilled. Maybe you don't feel like you're doing the thing that you're meant to do. But because it's giving you a certain lifestyle or you want people to think that this is what success means. It means that I
Mm-hmm.
have the big house. It means that I drive the nice car. It means that
Right.
I have the nice watch. It means all of these things. Again, we get caught up in the things, in all the things,
And
and
you're empty inside.
you're empty inside.
You're
There's
filled with
nothing,
stuff, but you're empty inside.
but you're empty inside. And the busyness is a distraction.
Oh, yes.
We busy ourselves to just not have to be with ourselves.
You're trying to get pleasure from external sources, not really understanding that the true love that you're seeking comes from within.
Absolutely. Yes. That is such a powerful statement because you cannot find happiness out there.
No,
I've always believed that you have to find happiness from within you.
correct.
If it can't radiate from within you, if you don't find that, you will never
No.
find it anywhere
You
else.
can't expect your wife or your husband to give that love to you. You must come into that relationship with
Exactly.
love yourself, and then you share that love with each other, right? Most couples
Exactly.
want the other one to change or be different, and they're not really loving that person for who they really are. They're
Right.
trying to change them and modify them, and like that creates a battle because you don't love them because you really don't love yourself. Something within you is not allowing you to experience this person that you're attached to and married to for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And that's where friction comes in. That's where divorce comes in. That's where all these other issues come in. And I think if we just understood that each of us must love and be kind to ourselves, life will be so much easier to deal with other people.
Yes.
Because when you radiate that love, when you come from that place of unity, that place of higher vibration, higher frequency, you're really unstoppable.
Yes, I believe that.
You know, you really are aligned with your life's purpose, and you are here to radiate love, and you are here to be a leader, be an example for others. And I think a lot of people aren't able to tap into that knowledge, that frequency, and it's too hard. And they sedate, you know, they get addicted, they want to escape. They don't want to live in a reality where they have to see things for what they are and really have to deal with it and really have to work things out, right? And really have to process things and feel things, you know? It's too difficult to feel. It hurts too much. It's too painful. So many men don't want to go there. They don't want to tap into what makes you tick, what makes you cry, what makes you get emotional, right? What makes you come alive, what makes you radiate. They want to hide. They don't want to come into that realization of who they really are. You know, they want to just indulge in pleasure. And that fucks you up. That really unaligns you. It moves you away from yourself, from your body, from God. And it creates the mess that we have in society today.
I agree
you know,
with that.
Where everybody just wants to, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Just keep going. And exactly what you said, sedate and also sedate, medicate, you know, you're taking X, Y, Z, or you have to drink, or you have to get high, or you have to take whatever pills, or it's to numb that experience. To avoid facing yourself. It's one of the most dangerous things that you can do. You blink and then your life's done. And then you're looking back and what did you do with the short time? It is such a short time that we're here for.
It's so short.
It goes by so quickly. I can't believe that I just turned 37, a week ago. And
happy belated.
Thank you. I said, how am I nearing 40? This is a really good time to reflect and think about where am I going next with my life?
Right.
I think that it's kind of like being a butterfly, right? You have to constantly evolve and be able and willing to re-enter that cocoon, right? And go through those moments of solitude and think, how am I going to rebuild? How am I going to emerge again? And be better, be beautiful in all ways? How am I going to do that? You can't always expect that, well, I'm just going to stay in butterfly phase always. You can't. You have to come back to cocoon phase sometimes and just sit with yourself. Think about where you're going and know that you, like a phoenix, you'll rise from the ashes. You have to be able to let go of the old and continue moving forward and build your life in a way that when your time's done, when we're at the end, you look back and you say, hey, I did it. I did it. I did the thing that I was supposed to do. I lived the very best life. I have no regrets in my life. It's amazing to me how fun of an exercise it is that people love to do with the time machine. If I can go back in time and do X, Y, Z, if I could go back and change this, if I could go back, why live your life like that? As far as we know, a time machine does not exist.
Just go and do it so you don't have to live that way.
Do it now so that you don't have to think 30 years from now, I should have left Trinidad. I should have left Trinidad and just gone to the US and I would have figured it out how to open my can of tuna. I would have figured it out. I think that you just have to make the jump. You have to make the jump. Just do the thing so that at the end of your life, you have lived a truly fulfilled life. And that's the legacy that everyone can leave behind. If you live your life to the best that you can live it, you be the person that you were meant to be. Outside of the noise, you get there.
You shine bright.
You shine bright. You are a legacy in and of yourself. So many people, and we've talked about this, if I can change just one person's life, if I can affect just one person, I've done what I was supposed to do on a very basic human level.
I agree.
I've helped someone. We're here to help. And I think if I've helped just one person by anything I say or do or how I live my life, I hope that that's the legacy that I live. And that's the way that someone can look back in my life and say, you know what? I'm just going to do the thing. I'm just going to do it because why should I not? I have just this one life. I don't want to be, on my deathbed thinking, okay, here are the 47 times I could have chosen differently? And had I done that,
Right.
what are all the probability trees that would have branched out from there? Where could my life have gone? Then you have an unlived life
It's a waste of time.
and you have wasted your time
Yeah.
here. So,
Going back to your butterfly analogy, which I loved, right? I feel like so many people get stuck in the caterpillar phase,
yes.
right? They're not able to see past that. They can't see that you have the chance of becoming a beautiful butterfly,
Yes.
right? All you got to do is do these couple things,
Do the hard work.
do the hard work,
Yeah.
right? Align, be true to yourself, come into your truth, realize where you are, do the hard work, right? Eat right, pray, be a good person,
Absolutely.
and
yes.
you'll become a beautiful butterfly.
Exactly. It's the cocoon. It's scary. It's dark. It can
Yes.
be lonely. It's hard. It's hard when you think
It's
about
very hard.
having to go there.
You may be, you may have that feeling like, am I going to break free from this cocoon? Am I stuck here forever? But no, you do break free.
And you break free in the right time.
Yes.
And your time is different from my time.
Right.
I can say, hey, you're going to be there in that dark place for 6 months. I might be there for 6 years. But I have to trust the process too. I have to trust that.
That's where faith comes in.
Exactly. That's where faith comes in. I have to know that you and I have different purposes in life, right? We have different gifts and different talents. Maybe yours will develop in the 6 months that we talked about. Maybe mine needs the 6 years. Maybe I need to get broken down to this point. Maybe I need to have every bone in my body broken.
Right.
Maybe they just needed to break your legs. Right. I don't know.
And both are okay. And both are okay.
And both are okay.
To each their own time.
Because both are a part of that process. And if you really have that faith, you have to know that God's guiding hand is on me.
For sure.
Right. He has already set out a path for me. I need to follow the path. I need to quiet I need to quiet myself, really. I need to quiet myself, and I ask God for discernment to understand what his will is in my life, and that I can quiet myself and quiet the noise around me, that I can hear and see clearly where he intends me to go. And I follow that. And I trust that process. I have the faith that when I'm in that cocoon, that it's going to end. The butterfly is coming. I'm going to emerge as a butterfly. I know I'm going to. I have to hold fast. I have to have the discipline. I have to have the patience. I have to have the strength, the stability. It's in me already. I think those gifts are embedded in me. Now is my period of testing. It's that trial by fire that I'm in, and I will emerge. And I'm going to be the best version of me. But I have to trust that process. And you're right, and not get stuck in caterpillar because I'm too afraid to evolve.
And enjoy the caterpillar process.
Yes.
That's your building phase,
yes.
right? That's where you put on your muscles. That's where you gain your knowledge, Enjoy that. Don't see the end result as the only benefit. The journey is also the benefit.
Absolutely. Everyone talks about the destination. When I get to this point, when I make $1 million, when I do all of these things.
How about the journey there?
Exactly. That your life is passing by.
Yes.
Your life is passing as you are counting the milestones. You keep looking ahead to what's next. The checkbox, right? Oh, I did it. I did this. I did this. I did this. But really, you're right. It's the journey there. We have to slow down a little bit and not be so focused on what everyone else is doing, what everyone else thinks, and having that be the driving force. We have to live by our own timeline and our own standards too. And again, I think having that faith is so important to that, to quiet my own voice, quiet the noise around me, and listen to what God's timing is and what God's call in my life is.
Kristi, what makes you so strong? You are one strong human being. What do you think gives you this mental toughness, this drive, this determination to, I'm going through this fucking wall? And I know you are. What gives you that? What do you think? Clearly, your dad had a lot to do with that. But where do you think this fire keeps burning inside of you?
I have to give it to my faith. I have to give it to my faith. I think that deep in my heart, I know with all my heart, with all my soul, I know that the path that I'm following, God has put me on this path. I trust him with everything that is within me. No part of me doubts what I believe. I believe in it fully. And I've also given myself the grace to say, it's okay to have questions about my faith. It's okay to challenge myself by being in a room with an atheist or being in a room with someone that thinks what I believe in is complete BS. That's okay. what that shows me is that I need to learn more about my faith, that I need to research more. I need to read my Bible more. I need to invest more in building my faith. And I don't see someone that has a different point of view from me is just showing me how I can build myself. They're not showing me something that's wrong with me. It's not a critique on me. It's how I can be better. And I think that my faith is at the core of who I am. I think my faith was instilled in me as a small child. My parents raised me in a Christian household. They've held those values. And, I saw my dad struggle with his faith too, right? My dad didn't make a secret of that.
Right.
He was very open about that. And that made it real to me.
I want to meet your dad.
Yeah.
He sounds like such a cool dude.
He is. He's an amazing guy to sit with, to have a drink with and talk about life. He always gives me these great nuggets of wisdom. And they're just summed up just before, I was leaving. He said, don't forget, excuses are the root of failure. And it's just something he'll randomly say. I've lived my life like that.
That's awesome.
He'll just say, hey, listen, remember, excuses are the root of failure. And I'm like, Dad, I know what you mean, but tell me exactly where your head's at when you say that. And he was like, stop making excuses. Don't make excuses for you. Don't make excuses for this one, for that one. Don't make excuses for why your business is not going well this year. Don't make excuses because of the pandemic. Excuses are just the root of failure. If you want to just keep growing more fails in your life, that's what you'll do. Plant more excuses. Plant more excuses. Do that. You're never going to see success that way. So my dad's that type of guy. You'll sit with him and he comes up with, I don't know where all of that amazing knowledge is coming from. God, I'm sure that's his talent, right?
For sure.
To lead and to be a brilliant mind that thinks. And so I would say that faith coupled with my upbringing, I want to say having parents that believed in me, that did not define me by what the typical societal definitions were, by my gender, that my parents didn't limit me by saying, well, we don't necessarily have the money to do, to send you abroad, or maybe we don't have this. They didn't let any of those things stop them. My parents really created a world for me where I genuinely believed anything was possible. I didn't grow up thinking, well, we don't have the money for, an Ivy League education, so I can't get it. Again, it goes back to what my dad has spoken about. In your mind's eye, what can you see?
Yes.
In my mind's eye, if my dad said, hey, you could fly, I'd be like, you know what? I could fly. I'm going to figure out how to do it. I don't have wings, but maybe I could build this. Maybe I could.
Right.
So I think that's a big part of it. When someone genuinely believes in you and someone gives you that platform to say anything. Gives you life,
right? Gives you hope.
It gives you hope. I think you have to have hope in life.
That's awesome.
If you have no hope, what wakes you up every morning and makes you keep going? You have to have that hope that there's something bigger, better out there for you. So faith, hope, support, love, respect, all these big things that we've spoken about. That's what it's really all about. It's not about the car and the house and the money and the status and the, I have.
That's just a byproduct of it, right?
It's
That's
the byproduct. If you have those things, phenomenal.
Right,
for you.
great, wonderful. You have a great life. Congratulations.
Exactly.
It's not about that.
But if you have that without having the other things,
the knowledge, the maturity, the foundation,
what do you really have?
The morals, the values, right?
Exactly. So I would say that faith.
A lot of rich scumbags out there. Don't be a rich scumbag.
There's
a lot of them.
Absolutely. I think I'm ready to see a change in our society. I'm ready to see a change culturally. I want to see more people step up to defend what they believe.
Yes.
I want to see more people, we've talked about this in this podcast today about families and the importance of family and the importance of not even just saying just the family you're born into, the family you create too, right?
Right. 100 both.
And using that as that platform, I think that's important for us to change the culture that we're operating in. It's not just about us, me, guys. What makes me happy? Me. It's too much about just me. You will live such an unfulfilled life if everything is just about you.
I agree. It's boring.
It is boring.
Yeah.
So what? I have 50 nice cars. Nice. Good for you.
Who are you going to share it with?
Exactly. And who's genuinely going to be happy for you when you come off as just a selfish, arrogant ass?
Right.
Like, what's the merit in being that?
Right. To me, the best part about having the car is to be able to share it.
Exactly.
Let others experience it. Let others enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to my dad, I know that he's going to be the hot topic always, right?
Oh, please. He's awesome.
I
love it.
My father, when he started the business, once he saw some measure of success, the first thing that he decided to do was to establish as his corporate social responsibility he wanted to have a children's treat to treat the underprivileged kids in our village.
Oh man.
Every year for
What a
Christmas to get a
good
Santa Claus to
man.
come in to cook lunch for them,
That's
to buy a toy,
incredible.
to get snacks. So he created that initiative. It's I
Wow.
think we're on year 25.
Really?
Right, this year I think is our 25th anniversary of doing this. We've grown. He grew from, let's say, maybe 50 kids
Wow.
at our house to we're over 1,000 kids that come from all over the island.
That's
Kids that are coming from impoverished
incredible.
backgrounds. My dad
Is
put
he
some-
Santa Claus?
no, he's not. He's not Santa Claus. He's the master orchestrator. He's behind
Got
the
it.
scenes saying, I need more toys here. I need food
Got
here.
it.
I need this. He really enjoys that. And I think from a young age, my dad
That's so
always talked about helping
cool.
other people. It has always been such a big part of his DNA and what he embedded into our DNA.
What a great blessing for you
I know,
to
right?
grow up around a man like that.
Absolutely. And
That's
I wish there were more
incredible.
men like that
Yes,
in
me
today's
too.
society.
Yes.
Right? We'd be in a way better place.
Yes, we would be.
If more of my dad was walking around.
Yes.
What's
his name?
Ivan.
Ivan.
Yes.
Ivan, you're a good man, and you raised a good daughter. Good for you.
Thank you. He's an incredible person, and so he instilled that in us at a very young age. He would get us to come up on stage and give out these toys and encourage us to get
Right.
to know the kids, walk out into the crowd, meet the kids, get to know them. And
That's awesome.
he knows these kids. He'll be like, "Oh, here comes Samantha. Samantha was here last year." He really invests his time. He cares.
cares.
He genuinely cares.
Yes.
He's all about building the community. He's always stayed in the same village that, we talked about my ancestry coming from
Yes.
India. So that village that we settled in, my dad has stayed in that village
Wow.
and built that village, providing employment or infrastructure or doing whatever he can to build that village because he believes in building. He's that builder
incredible.
that we spoke about. And I think that's what it's about. It's about helping everyone. It's about helping whoever comes across our path as an opportunity
Oh,
to
for
help.
sure.
And don't let that opportunity pass you by. I think that's one of the things that I would regret in life if I sat and I thought about it and I said, I could have helped that person. I could have done this to change the course of their life. And especially with so many people struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts.
So many people.
If I can stop you with a word of love or care and to remind you that you matter, if that takes me a few seconds out of my life and I could help to stop you or save you by taking a minute out of my
Yes.
day to tell you that you're loved, you're important. There's a place for you. You have a talent that God's embedded in you. You serve a purpose here, and I want you to find that purpose, and I hope that you find it. If we just take a few seconds out of our life to do that, to help more people, that creates a multiplicative effect.
100%.
I help you, you help someone else, they help someone else. And so it goes, and we build a better
It's
world
contagious.
like that. Exactly.
You're going to be a great coach.
Thank you.
You're going to be a phenomenal coach.
Maybe that's where I go next.
Yeah, I see it.
Thank you. I
You're going to be a
appreciate
phenomenal coach. Let's quickly go into your business.
Sure.
Okay. I'm very curious to know, because when we met, you told me that you had bought out 6 of your competitors. Is that right?
So I bought 3 competitors.
Okay.
And I started 3 businesses that were
Got it.
that would have competed with others in the industry. So when I stepped into events, it came from a place of we had to get this done very quickly. I think I briefly mentioned this to you at a networking event that we were at together. One of the reasons I decided to start my business is that my brother was held at gunpoint. He was robbed at gunpoint, and it was a kidnapping attempt. And that created urgency in Trinidad. And that created urgency in my family to get my brother out of Trinidad and here into the US where he would be safe.
Makes sense.
And so I was just graduating from my MBA, and I said, okay, what can I do to help him? My dad says, I know you can be an entrepreneur. I know you can do it. It's in your DNA. It's in your blood. I've raised you that way. Let's start a business. Let's do it. Pick something. Pick an industry that you feel that you'll do well in. And I said, oh my gosh, what am I going to pick?
Pressure.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I'm just figuring this out. Okay, I love events. Can I do something with events? Because again, I was drawn to that event that my dad did for the kids when
Got
I
it.
was younger. I always volunteered in that. I always liked
That
helping him
makes
plan
sense.
and putting that together. And that was
makes
fun for me. And I
sense.
thought, hey, I really enjoy.
That's where your passion grew.
Yeah, I think it grew from that. And I said, you know what, Dad, I'll do events. He was like, events? Wow, that has nothing to do with meats. I don't know how I'm going to help you, but let's do it if that's the way. So it was born out of that urgency to get something done, to get my brother. He became my partner here, and
Got it.
we started in that business. I had the opportunity when I was starting my business. I got a small fish or a big fish on the docket. There was a huge company out of Palm Beach that was up for sale. And I doubted myself. And I said, I don't know if I have what it takes. I don't know if I can step into already an established business. Who am I? I'm this
Right.
fresh-faced, MBA grad. What do I know? What I have no accolades.
All the
Like, who's going to
doubts.
trust me? And I did not, and then there was the small fish. I'm like, this is manageable. I could do this. Like, this is not a challenge. It was not a challenge. And I did not challenge myself. And I said, I'm going to go with a smaller company. I'm going to start with a smaller company and I'll build. And what I did that was unfair to myself is I looked at that bigger company and I made that the mold for how I'd build. I didn't build from my original vision. I was looking at that company and what they did. And I said, I can build up
Got
to
it.
that and I'll build it in my timeline, right? Once I stepped in, immediately I realized, okay, I should have gone bigger. I doubted myself.
It was too small.
It was too small. I felt like I had mastered this in weeks.
Mm.
And I said, I did not challenge myself enough. I under-challenged myself here. What can I do now?
It's a good lesson, though.
It was a good lesson.
Yeah.
It's a lesson I had to learn. And I
Yeah.
said, what can I do now? Let's change the vision. I can't keep looking at this other company, this other
Right.
person and what they've done. What's my original vision? What do I want to do? What did I see in these few weeks of being here? What did I learn? I learned that it's a major headache for my clients to have to go to 5, 6, 10 different places when they're putting together an event. I have to call the DJ. I have to get the food from here. I have to get a bartender from here. I have to get entertainment. I have to do invitations. I have to do all of this. And I said, what if I created a one-stop shopping experience for events that I would do everything? That it's just one call. You call me and I figure out all of it. And I do you one better. I'm not just, because that would just be an event planner, right? Not an event planner. I want to be able to control the quality of my products, the quality of the service that I'm offering. I want to be able to control the availability. I can't say yes to you and then I call the DJ and he's like, nope, I'm booked for another time. And then I have to go back to the client to say, I know I said yes, but it's a no.
As you're talking, I can picture your dad saying, I want quality of the meat. The quality of this. I can see where you learned things from. It's incredible.
That is exactly
It's
what
incredible.
he did. How
Yes.
to control the different avenues and the supply chain, like we talked about. And that's what I wanted to do too.
You're such a good student.
Thank you. Thank you. I actually really enjoyed my life as students, for both my undergrad and
You learned
graduate
very well.
Thank you. And so that's what I said, that's what I'm going to build. I'm going to build something where I acquire all these things in-house. They're all coming in-house.
Yes.
I want to bring all of it under my wing and be able to control all of it. I want to create full-time opportunities for everyone, from catering to floral design to photography to videography to the rentals to whatever it is. I want to bring all of it under one roof. I want to have my own venue. So that's when I started assessing the market. Okay, who's up for grabs? Who makes sense to fit into? Who would create synergy within my company? Okay, let's see. There's a linens manufacturing company. They're going to create their own event fabrics. It's manufactured here in the US. I can control the quality. I can control the fabrics. I can meet with these suppliers. Okay, I can do that.
You went down to the detail.
Down to the detail, yes.
Incredible.
So acquired them. Then I said, okay, you know what's going to be easier? If I can control the location. Instead of having to go out to the client's house, which now I have to think of all the backup things to bring, right? What do I bring? I have to bring an extra table, extra chair. I have to bring extra linens. I have to bring extra this because we're in their space. I have to prepare for all the different crises that could potentially happen.
For sure.
So
all the variables.
So I said, what's the next natural move? I should have my own venue. Let me look for my own venue.
Have them come to you.
I saw a ballroom that was up for sale, acquired that ballroom. And so then comes the parts of integrating. How do I integrate all these different existing business structures? And then step by step, I said, what's missing? Photography and videography. We're doing so much of it. We need to bring that in-house. Let's hire a photographer. Let's hire a videographer. We're going to launch our own company. We're going to launch Captivate Productions. This is going to be my photography company. What's up to bat next? Do we need catering in-house? Do we need floral design in-house? We need all of these things to come in-house. Let's create these different DBAs, doing business as, under my parent company. And let's grow these brands. And then we'll mesh them all together.
Incredible.
But we build the brands. And so when I acquired these companies, what I wanted to do is I wanted to inherit that goodwill.
Right.
I wanted to inherit that book of clients so that I wasn't starting from scratch.
Right.
I needed to get something to be the bread and butter. While I wanted to be creative and innovative, I also have to say, how am I going to bring income? Okay, I can bring income through existing businesses. That's why the acquisitions were the first to go. Before I started thinking about how do I fill in with my new ideas,
Right.
what's existing in the market that makes sense, that we can optimize and make more efficient and more effective? How do I bring that in? So that's how the business grew. I would keep looking for opportunities, assessing in the market. It got to a point where I had people constantly pitching me their business. Hey, I want to get out of the bit. Do you want to buy my business? Do you want to, I do this. Do you want to buy it? And I would say, hey, I think that's a little bit off of where I'm trying to
Right.
go, but that became the thing. I was sitting every week with a new person trying to sell their business to me to say, hey, can you take my company under your wing? And let's expand,
let's grow together.
And let's grow together because it makes more sense. Everyone wants to go to you because now you're the one-stop shop. Like everyone knows that you control all of it and you're so detail-oriented. I am very OCD and I use that to my advantage. And I think being in events, you have to be detail-oriented.
Yes,
it's
you
all
do.
in the details.
It's all in the details.
All in the details,
Yeah.
just the littlest things. And that's why it goes back down to the core of getting to know that person.
Yes.
Then I can assess what's important to that person.
Correct. What's going to bother them? What's not going to bother them, right?
Exactly. I have to know, okay, there's a specific situation here that I have to pay special attention to. And that's what has my clients coming back year after year. The same clients that come back all the time. I have clients that call me just to talk. And I'm like, are you calling for an event? And they're like, no, I just wanted to update. Yeah, I just wanted to update you. I had brides that would come by and be like, my mom baked you a cake. I wanted to bring you the cake that my mom made. Or, hey, girl, I had a tough day. I'm going to come by with a bottle of wine. I'm like, I'm still working, but you can open the wine. You can have the wine and we'll debrief and we'll talk. And so I have really enjoyed that part of the business too. But
You're coaching already.
I know, right? And that was how I built, why I built. I built to make it easier. When you're celebrating something special, it should be about that special day, right? It should
100%.
It should be about enjoying that. It shouldn't mean I have to pay this person. I have to have these 8 checks organized. And
right.
I have to call to make sure that the band is on time. And I have to give that to someone else. And there's a price that makes that worth it for that person.
Right.
So give it to someone else, give it to me, and I will take care of it. But a big part of that is trust. You have to trust me. I can create the best possible experience.
Right.
But if you don't trust me to do it, you have to trust me. It's your wedding day. Once that gets going, once the day is underway, there are no retakes. We can't do it over. We can't do the walk again. It happens just one time.
Right.
The day is live and
there's no retake.
There's no retake. It's happening. It's happening right now. And so when you're making that decision with who to go with for your wedding or for your sweet 16, I mean, sweet 16s, they're dreaming this thing up from the time they're like 12, 13. They're planning this is going to be my theme. This is what my friends are going to do. This is the dance we're going to choreograph. Like it's big for them.
It's huge.
That's such, and that shapes who they become too, right? Those experiences. And if you don't create an environment where people can trust you and they can come to you, I want my clients to say, I don't like this. I don't want them to just do it because they feel like, well, I don't want to,
offend you.
I don't want to offend you. So I have to create that space too. And I think listening to my clients, listening to their needs and them saying, for example, hey, we'd really like more options for food. Like, what can we do on the catering front? Okay. Why are they saying that? Well, the majority of my clients are from the Caribbean. They want to have something homey at their wedding. They don't want it to just be the typical grilled chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans. They're like,
blah.
I'm from Haiti.
Give me some soul food.
Exactly. Can you do something that's homey, but make it elegant, for example? And we want the service to also be X, Y, Z, and it should resemble this. There are certain cultures that buffet is the way to go. I don't want plated dinner. And then there's certain cultures that are like, oh, no. I don't want to go to a buffet. I want it plated and presented to me. And it's understanding the culture, understanding the people that you're serving and paying attention to that and growing your business to be intuitive. But you have to be close to the customer to know that. If I sit at my table away from the customer without assessing the market, there's no way I could have known.
It's dangerous.
Exactly.
You're flying in blind.
You're flying. But I get free feedback from my clients. I'm glad when people leave me reviews, even if it's not the best review. It's good because there's something to learn. Yes. From that, right? Hey, I wish the XYZ was better. you know what? You're right. I would love to have you come in and tell me a little bit more about your experience and tell me how I can improve. You thought that that was what was wrong. Interesting. That's good to know. I have my team sit with me and I say, guys, she felt this way. What do you think we did?
Right.
Where could we be better? How could we improve that experience? I don't think any critique is meant to break you down. It will be if you let it.
For sure.
Break you down. But if you use that critique to build your business,
they're helping you.
Exactly. You
They're
become more and more
telling you how to be
bulletproof.
better.
They're telling me how to be better.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly that. So that's more or less what I did. We had expanded. We had a huge 10,000 square foot warehouse in Medley, unfortunately, during the pandemic.
Wow.
What we built up to that, right? So we were 6 companies under one roof. We had our, we were at different locations. We had our ballroom at a different location. We were housed out of a main headquarters. We had offices in 2 different locations. So
Booming.
we had grown to a huge entity by 2019. And we're heading into 2020 thinking this is going to be the best year yet. We're going to be making record sales. We're entering that year so strong. Boom, March, pandemic, ordered shut. Now we have to think, our industry is not a commodity industry.
No.
Where do we go from here? And it's now, what parts of the business do I cut off to survive? How do I become lean?
Fucking COVID.
I know, I have to cut off arms and legs in order to keep the heart beating of the company. So, and again, that's the cocoon that we talked about.
Yes.
I hit butterfly, and the butterfly phase lasted a very short period, which was disappointing. And I thought, hey.
And it completely wasn't your fault.
Right, exactly.
There's nothing you could have done.
But again, going back to what my dad has said, right? So
no excuses.
Exactly.
Yes.
Excuses are going to be the root of failure. So if I just said that, well, the pandemic wasn't my fault. So I folded. I'm bankrupt now. Well, that's dead. The dream's dead. We just move on. I move on to the next thing. I said, hey, listen.
No.
What it is that it means it's time to re-enter the cocoon. I have to rebuild. I have to think of where we go from here.
Yes.
And so it's been a period of rebuilding. It's tough. It's not easy, but now it's time to reemerge again. And now it's, where do we go from here? How to become better?
In comparison to where you were in 2019, where are you now?
We're not near 2019 yet.
Okay.
We're still building back towards it. I want to say we're at that point where we were still trying to get all 6 companies to sync up.
Okay.
To work effectively together. So it's figuring out the internal politics. Okay, 3 of the 6 use this subscription. 2 of the 6 need this to function. So how do I put all of that together, that jigsaw puzzle, to make us the most efficient? So we were trying to optimize how we were performing at that point in time. It's like that now because we have pieces that were broken down because of the pandemic. Not that that's an excuse.
For sure.
But we have
just a reality.
The reality is that there are parts of it that were broken down that need to get fit back into the puzzle a new puzzle. I previously would not have offered a rental only at my ballroom, for example. I was strictly all-inclusive packages only. You had to take everything from me.
Got it.
And I learned, okay, you know what we need to do? We need to offer it as a rental-only facility for those that want it. And we have to trust that we have strong enough skills to upsell you on the different. Why does it make sense to go with you for catering? Why should I do the florals with you?
Better
Why
yourself.
should I do the DJ? Exactly. Now, how do I provide more value to the customers?
Got it.
Now that they have the option, now that they don't have to choose me.
Right.
Why should they choose me? They should choose me because I'm the best. It makes the most sense. It's the most seamless experience. I have to provide that experience. So we're back at that, creating that seamless experience. So we're still in that building phase. I hope that we are there within the next, 12 months. And it's about setting timelines and working with whatever comes your way. You have to be flexible and you have to be able in life to take those curveballs and say, this is not going to knock me down.
Right.
How do I hit this out of the park? Even though it's not standard. How can I make this work? And I think that was a big lesson coming out of it. Flexibility, innovation, creativity.
Is it still you and your brother running things?
So my brother has moved away into, I told you my father brought a branch here to the US. So now he's stepped in to run and lead that company.
Got it.
And to trailblaze for them in that path. So he's going to follow that. He's doing a phenomenal job.
Good for him.
I'm very proud of him as a little brother. I had my doubts at certain points. I said, hey, but to see him grow up. A
family of entrepreneurs.
Right, exactly. And it's great. I hope my daughter one day grows up to say, and you don't have to choose my business. You don't have to choose your uncle's.
Any business.
You don't have to choose that. But hey, listen, we've kind of figured out something here. I feel like there's some kind of secret sauce that I hope that she inherits. And even if she chooses not to,
Right.
whatever she chooses to, that's what's
She might take over your company. Who knows?
maybe.
Yeah.
Whatever she chooses, what I learned from my parents is that I need to support her no matter what she chooses in life, no matter
sure.
where she wants to be in life. The important thing is for her to feel loved and supported. And that's where that confidence comes from. The confidence comes from that.
100%.
So
Where do you see yourself next 5 years? Where do you want to be in the next 5 years?
maybe coaching. No, in 5 years, I want to be able to be more in that capacity, yes, of helping and helping build other people. How am I going to actualize that? How am I going to build more people? I'm still at that point of figuring that out. I'm at the whiteboard right now, trying to say, I can see where I want to go. I can see what I believe to be
Right.
my next step. What are the sub steps in getting there? I don't have that all figured out right now.
We can discuss that further. I can help you with that.
And I would love your help on that. I think that it's important to surround yourself with people that have been there,
Right.
been through those different phases, especially people, again, going back to that butterfly metaphor,
Yes.
right? People that have been through the cocoon and can help you, because I feel like that's where I am now. I'm back to the cocoon and I'm thinking, okay, what do I do now to make sure that I'm setting myself up for the next 5 years? And sometimes it's scary when you don't have the exact picture. I have a
Right.
general outline. I know what I'm passionate about. I know what I love. I know where I want to be. But what is that going to look like in reality? What are the details? How can I fill in this painting in its most complete sense? What colors am I using to color this in? And I think it's important. This is the
I
phase
love
that I'm
that.
in.
What colors am I using to color this in?
Yeah. So I think that it's important to sit with people like you, Leo, to say, okay, Leo's going to bring the blue. He's going to show me how shades of blue will affect this painting. And how can I now build with other like-minded people, not only
Yes.
like-minded,
Right.
right? You have to diversify the people that
For
you're around
sure.
so that you challenge yourself. Why do I believe what I believe? I hold so fast to my belief. I've been challenged multiple times
Right.
in my career, in my personal life. I've had a lot of people that challenged what I believe, why I believe. It's, God doesn't exist. He couldn't exist because of this. And they have their own opinions. And then I have to sit with myself and say, why do I believe that? Is there merit in what that person is saying? I should do that research. And I don't want to do things that are just confirmation bias, right?
Right.
That's just backing up what I believe anyway. There's no challenge in that. If I push myself to an uncomfortable place, is there a chance that God doesn't really exist? That's an uncomfortable thought to sit with, but let's think about that.
Yeah.
Let's think about if that could be reality. And I did. I sat with that and I said, no, there's no way that I feel what I feel in my soul and in my heart, and that God's not there. I feel his presence. I feel his light. I feel his guidance. I know that to be true within myself.
Yes.
And I don't need to find that validation or seek that validation from elsewhere. That's coming from within me, like we've talked about. So, yeah.
Kristi, where can people find you? What is your IG? What's your website, your Facebook, whatever social media you're on? Where can they find you?
I've shied away from this specifically because, and I realized that I probably need to do something differently. I have my personal IG, which is at KM Prasad. I also have all my different company IGs, which is at Premium Quality Events, at Miramar Ballroom, at Premium Quality Group, at PQ Meets. So there are a bunch of different ones.
I'll make sure to add all that to the description below.
Yes. But I do need to also think about the personal branding side. Again, something that we'll talk
For
a little
sure.
bit more about. I think that I've shied away
Shouldn't be too hard.
from that spotlight and not wanting, I like to be in the background. I like to be in the background. I don't like to.
I've heard that before from somebody. I've heard that before.
Yeah. But maybe the best way to help people is to step into the light, I guess.
100. It's the only way.
Right.
It's the only way because they're in the dark.
Right.
And
they
if
can't
you're
stay
not
there.
the light, they can't see you.
We have to be the light. You're
Yes.
right. Absolutely.
So now I'm going to ask you my rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Okay. 10 questions to get to know about you a little bit more. Okay. Tell me your favorite book.
My favorite book, the Bible is going to be my favorite book. I think it's the thing that I use as the greatest
I love that
reference point
answer.
for my life. I always go back there. And every time I read it, it's different. And I find different things and I understand more and I learn more. I had an amazing trip to Israel a few years ago.
Incredible.
And
I'm dying to go.
You have to go.
Dying to go.
You have to go because it's one thing to read the Bible and then you hear about these places,
Right.
but then
And then
you
you're
go
there.
and you see it and it makes it come alive in a
I
completely
bet.
different way. And I can't wait to go back. So I would have to say the Bible is going to be my favorite book.
Favorite food?
Favorite food, a tough one, but I'm going to say Trinidad's. I don't know if it's our national dish or maybe our unofficial national dish. It's going to be doubles. Doubles, so it's
that?
like 2 pieces of fried bread and there's curried chickpeas between it. And then you put different chutneys, like you can do, tamarind chutney. People do like hot sauce, like pepper sauce. I like grated cucumbers on mine.
That sounds delicious.
It reminds me of home. It feels like home. It's and it's the easy, cheap street food. But I love it. It's just so good. Not good for your health. But
Probably not. But once in a while. Yes.
Once in a while. It's good. It's nice to indulge.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Gosh, I'm not a big movie person. I'm going to say Aladdin.
Okay.
Funny enough, Aladdin, I've been watching it with my daughter over and over again.
That's great.
It's one of those things I think that it's a great memory from my
It's
childhood.
a good movie.
It is a really good movie. I love that Jasmine has a very strong voice in it as a woman, right? She has a strong voice in it. And I think she didn't just wait around for Aladdin to save her either, right? Her dad's that sultan. I think that resonated with me. Her dad's that sultan. And she said, I want to have a voice. I want to do something that matters. I want to rule. And I think I'm capable of ruling. And how can I get there? And I think that movie's always resonated with me.
I can see how you related to that. Yeah. What is your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby? Oh, that's a good question. I want to say running. I love running. I think it's my space that I go to clear my mind. I love just plugging in my favorite playlist at the time or favorite podcast or audiobook, whatever it is that I'm into at that time. And I feel like my mind goes completely quiet on that run.
That's awesome.
And I just fully focus in on what's happening at that point. It's one of the few times I think in my life or in my everyday that I get my mind to go completely quiet. So running, I would say, is my favorite.
Favorite song?
Favorite song?
Or artist, if it makes it easier.
Favorite artist or favorite song? That's very I feel like I cycle through so many songs. Is there a particular song that I ever go back to? Is there
Or artist?
Or artist. Nothing's coming to mind. I'm really trying to think. I go through so many different genres.
What's your favorite genre? Let's go there.
My favorite genre.
What do you go back to constantly?
I think always Christian contemporary music is where it's very centering. I think I like to have that time of praise and worship.
It's very grounding. Yes.
It is very grounding. It's soothing to me. It's soothing to my soul because it depends on the day, right? Some days I wake up, I'm like, house music it is. Or some days I'm like, it feels like a country music type of day.
Yes.
But I think, Christian contemporary music is one of those things that's just very soothing. If I've had a good day, bad day, hard day, sad day, there's always something there in one of the songs that resonates with me. Michael W. Smith, maybe, is my favorite artist. I think he's sang a lot of songs that the message that comes through really connects with me. I think actually when I was giving birth, I was having a very hard time. I'd been in labor for close to 24 hours.
Wow.
And I kept singing this song by him that goes like, this is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles, and the song talks about that faith, like holding on to God, that God's going to get me through this, that I'm going to get there. And I kept singing that. So I think the song's called Surrounded. I have to double check. And
that's beautiful.
It's a song that kept me focused that, at the time it was, a pretty crazy birthing story, but I just said, hey, we're going to get through this. Like, I feel like I'm going to die. I really feel like I'm going to die, but I have to.
What you guys go through during birth is insane.
It was in my body. I honestly thought that my back was breaking.
Wow.
I genuinely thought I was like something, because I had my epidural twice, right? When they went down, it did not administer right the first time. It did not administer to the left side of my body.
Wow.
They came up my spine, went down again, and still did not administer properly.
Wow.
So on the left side of my body, I felt everything. Right side numb, left side feeling everything. I'm running out of time on the epidural. My daughter's still not here yet.
That's
We're
awful.
getting into a point where they're like, you have to push as hard as you can. You have to get this done now.
Right.
That's really go time when they're like, so that's why I think that song was with me at that time. And I said, no matter how much pain I'm in, I'm on the cusp of bringing life into this world. I have to get there, no matter what it takes. Push through this pain because again, the butterfly is coming, right? This is a great thing that's about to happen. It's new life. I'm about to see my daughter for the first time. I can't wait to meet her. But to get there, I have to get through this pain. I have to do it. And yeah, had to do it, did it. And
You are so strong.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
very
that.
welcome. 2 more questions.
Sure.
Favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team? This is a tough one. I feel caught between saying the West Indies cricket team,
Okay.
because I feel the loyalty to, being
Yes.
Trinidadian. I grew up with
Yes.
cricket, but also the Miami Heat feel like home to me. The Miami Heat I love and support.
Could be both.
Yeah,
They're different sports.
They're
It's
different
okay.
sports,
Yeah.
exactly. So those would be my 2 favorite sports teams.
Last question. Favorite drink? Could be alcoholic, non-alcoholic, whatever it is.
Favorite drink? I'm just gonna go simple. It's water. Water.
I've
is
gotten
gonna
that
be-
answer a lot.
Really?
Yes, I've gotten that answer a lot. I love it.
It's the one thing I can drink all the time, every day, all day.
Yes,
If
and
any
it's
other
great for
drink,
you.
yeah, and it's good for you. There are no
Yes.
harmful effects. It's
No,
very
zero.
good for you. I say that with Dirty Martini being a very strong contender, or a nice single malt Scotch as another strong contender. But really, it's going to be water. So,
Kristi, if you can give me a tip or a nugget for a struggling entrepreneur who can't figure out their ways, they may be on the verge of losing their company, what would you tell them?
going back to the same butterfly analogy that we were talking about, you're in the cocoon, and understand that there are different phases, that you can't stay in caterpillar. And if you are in the cocoon phase, that it's a process. You have to trust the process and know that you can figure it out. It's within you to figure it out. You have to arm yourself with the resources, the skill, the will, all of the things that
Yes.
educate yourself, build yourself. That's why you're in there. Get the tools that you need to identify the tools, do the work to figure it out. Because what's coming once you break free of that is majestic. It's fantastic. It's great. But to get there, you have to go through this. We all struggle as entrepreneurs. It's a part of the game.
Yes.
You have to. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to be that linear climb that we talked about. It's not just going to be a straight line all
No.
the time. It's going to be up and down. And you'll go through this cycle several times. You may succeed just like I did. I thought, ahead of the pandemic, this is it. I've arrived. I've done it. I built this huge company. And then something happened that forced me back into the rebuilding phase. You cannot give up, lose your faith, and doubt the process, question the process. You have to trust. You have to have faith. You have to have hope. Rely on your support system. Look to those. And the support system, maybe you're born into it, or
Right.
maybe it's one that you build.
Mhm.
But build it. Build it because they will help you
You'll need
out
it.
of, and you will need it.
Yeah.
You will need it to get out of that cocoon phase, and invest in people. Invest in people, because when you need it, they'll pour back into you as well. So that would be my tip.
Phenomenal.
Thank you.
Kristi, I thank you so much for being
Thank
a guest on the
you.
podcast.
Thank you.
It's been an
Leo.
amazing conversation.
It
I love getting to learn about you, and I cannot wait to see what you do next.
Thank you so much. And you as well. I'm very excited for all the great things happening for you, for your
Thank
book
you.
coming out in October. I'm excited to
Thank
read
you.
it.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you. Guys, hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned all the gems dropped by Kristi. Subscribe, like, hit that bell notification, and we'll see you guys next time.